Welcome to Senior Relationship After 60. Imagine this for a moment. A recent survey revealed that seniors over 60 are reporting levels of intimacy and connection that many younger adults only dream of. That's right. While the world assumes love and passion fade with age, the reality is far more inspiring. The quiet revolution happening among seniors proves that intimacy doesn't disappear. It deepens, matures, and often becomes more fulfilling than ever before. But here's the part almost no one talks about. There's a hidden insight about intimacy after 60 that could completely shift how you think about relationships at this stage of life. Later in this video, I'll share that powerful secret, one that experts themselves are only beginning to acknowledge. Trust me, you'll want to hear it. Think about the countless stories around us. A widow who thought love was gone forever, finding unexpected warmth in a new companion. A couple celebrating their 40th anniversary by discovering a spark they hadn't felt in years. Or someone stepping into the dating world in their 70s with more confidence and joy than they ever had in their 20s. These stories are real. They're happening all around us. And they prove that intimacy after 60 isn't about endings. It's about beginnings. Before we go any further, I'd love for you to do something simple but powerful. Tap like and subscribe to this channel right now. And if this message already resonates with you, don't forget the like button. Each like helps lift senior voices, ensuring these conversations reach the people who need them most. Make this one of them. So let me ask you, when was the last time you felt truly seen, truly connected, and truly alive in someone's presence? Hold on to that feeling, because in the next few minutes, we'll explore why love and intimacy after 60 may be the most genuine, liberating, and unforgettable chapter of all. Let me introduce you to two people whose story might just mirror parts of your own journey. Ezekiel is 67 years old, a retired jazz musician whose life has been marked by rhythm, improvisation, and a deep love for music. After his divorce 5 years ago, he found himself facing a silence that no melody could quite fill. Nights that used to echo with the sound of his saxophone and the company of friends now felt heavier, quieter. For Ezekiel, the challenge wasn't only about starting over. It was about believing that intimacy and connection were still possible after heartbreak at this stage of life. Then there's Marigold, 64, a retired librarian with a gentle yet curious spirit. For decades, she was surrounded by books, stories, and the quiet comfort of order. But after stepping away from her career, she realized that her personal story had become too quiet, too carefully tucked away. Marigold had lived responsibly, raised her children, and done everything society expected. And yet, she carried a question that weighed on her heart. Is there still room for me to explore love, passion, and intimacy at this age? Ezekiel and Marigold crossed paths at a local community center's book and music night, an event where jazz met poetry, rhythm met words. At first, it was nothing more than a conversation about Miles Davis and a shared laugh over a forgotten novel. But what started as small talk grew into something deeper. Marigold was drawn to Ezekiel's warmth and the way his stories seemed to carry both pain and resilience. Ezekiel was struck by Marigold's quiet strength, her thoughtful questions, and her willingness to step outside the boundaries she had once set for herself. Their connection didn't happen overnight. For Ezekiel, intimacy meant learning to trust again, to believe that love wasn't just tied to the past. For Marigold, intimacy meant giving herself permission to embrace joy without guilt, to admit that physical closeness and emotional vulnerability still mattered. Together, they discovered that love after 60 isn't about chasing youth. It's about creating a space where laughter, touch, and companionship feel richer because of the lives they've already lived. Ezekiel and Marigold remind us that intimacy isn't reserved for the young. It's available for anyone willing to open their heart, no matter their age. And their story challenges each of us to ask, what walls have I built around myself, and am I ready to let them down to let love in again? Secret 1. Breaking the biggest myth. Let's tackle one of the most persistent myths out there. The idea that intimacy ends after 60. You've probably heard it before, maybe even believed it yourself, that once you cross into your 60s or 70s, Passion fades, romance disappears, and companionship becomes nothing more than routine. But the reality unfolding across the United States today tells a completely different story. Seniors are not stepping away from love. They're stepping back into it with more energy and openness than ever before. In fact, senior dating is booming. Online platforms designed specifically for older adults like Silver Singles, Our Time, and Stitch have seen rapid growth in memberships over the last few years. And it's not just the digital world. Across the country, community centers, churches, and even senior living communities are hosting meetups, dances, and speed dating nights tailored for people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. The myth says intimacy fades, but the truth is, it's being redefined and rediscovered in ways that younger generations often overlook. Why is this shift happening? Part of it comes down to perspective. Many seniors have faced the trials of life, raising families, enduring losses, surviving divorces, and overcoming challenges that tested their resilience. Now, in this stage of life, they often know exactly what they want. Not surface-level attraction, but genuine companionship, meaningful conversations, and intimacy that feels authentic. For some, that means a new romance. For others, it means rekindling a spark that had quietly dimmed over the years. Either way, intimacy is not ending, it's evolving. But let's also be honest. Loneliness is real. The US Surgeon General recently called loneliness an epidemic, and seniors are among those most affected. That's why companionship matters so much. It's more than just holding hands or sharing a meal. It's about emotional health, physical well-being, and the joy that comes from knowing someone sees you, values you, and wants to share life's moments with you. So, here's the question for you. Do you think intimacy fades with age, or does it evolve into something even more meaningful? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because your perspective might just inspire someone else who needs to hear it today. The truth is clear. Intimacy doesn't stop at 60. In many ways, it's just beginning again, with new rules, new opportunities, and a deeper sense of what it really means to love and be loved. Secret 2. Love beyond the physical. Love after 60 often teaches us something that's easy to overlook when we're younger. That intimacy is not only about the physical. It's about connection in the simplest, most profound moments. For many seniors, it's in the morning walks where two hands reach out and hold, silently saying, "I'm here with you." It's in the laughter over a shared memory, or the inside joke that no one else in the world would understand. It's in the daily rituals that turn ordinary time into something deeply meaningful. Take Ezekiel and Marigold, for example. One evening, long after the neighborhood had gone quiet, Ezekiel pulled out an old record player that had been gathering dust in the corner of his living room. The vinyl crackled, and suddenly the smooth sounds of a Miles Davis ballad filled the space. Marigold, who hadn't danced in years, hesitated at first. But Ezekiel extended his hand, and in that small gesture was an invitation to let go of the weight of the years, the expectations, the worries, and just be present. They began to sway slowly, their bodies not moving with the precision of youth, but with something richer, the rhythm of shared vulnerability. In that living room, they weren't two seniors counting birthdays. They were two people rediscovering what it meant to feel alive together. And that dance wasn't about steps or performance. It was about trust, laughter, and the courage to enjoy a moment without needing it to be perfect. Now, here's where it becomes universal. Think about your own life. Do you remember your first dance with someone special? Maybe it was in a gymnasium at a high school prom. Maybe it was in your kitchen late at night. Or maybe it was in a moment so small it almost feels like a dream now. That memory still lives within you. And here's the beauty. There's no expiration date on creating those kinds of memories again. Love beyond the physical means discovering intimacy in new forms. Reading a favorite book aloud to each other, sharing a walk in the park while the seasons change, or even cooking dinner side by side. These aren't grand gestures. They're threads that weave closeness into the fabric of daily life. So, the next time you think intimacy has to mean something complicated, remember Ezekiel and Marigold's dance. Sometimes the deepest connections come from the simplest acts. Holding hands, sharing laughter, and daring to open your heart again. Secret 3. The surprising health secret. Here's something that might surprise you. Intimacy after 60 isn't just about connection or companionship. It's about health, vitality, and even longevity. New research is showing us that regular intimacy, whether it's physical closeness, emotional bonding, or affectionate touch, can have measurable benefits for seniors. This isn't just opinion. It's backed by science. Studies have linked healthy intimacy after 60 to stronger heart health. When you share affection, your body releases oxytocin, sometimes called the bonding hormone. This reduces stress, lowers blood pressure, and supports cardiovascular wellness. Imagine that. A simple hug, kiss, or shared laugh could be acting as a natural medicine for your heart. Seniors who report active intimacy often show lower rates of heart disease and better recovery from stress compared to those who feel isolated. But it doesn't stop there. Intimacy has also been tied to sharper memory and better cognitive function. Neuroscientists have found that affection, closeness, and yes, even sexual activity, stimulate regions of the brain linked to memory and focus. It's almost as if the brain gets a workout from connection, keeping it healthier and more resilient with age. This could be one reason why seniors in loving, intimate relationships often describe themselves as feeling mentally younger than their years. And let's not forget the emotional side. Intimacy reduces anxiety, eases feelings of loneliness, and creates a sense of belonging that strengthens resilience. Seniors who stay connected, whether through romance or close companionship, often live not only longer lives but richer ones. They laugh more, worry less, and handle challenges with greater ease. Intimacy, in this sense, isn't just pleasure. It's part of the foundation of a longer, healthier, more vibrant life. Think about it this way. Every moment of intimacy is more than an emotional spark. It's a gift to your body, mind, and soul. When Ezekiel and Marigold dance in their living room, they're not only enjoying each other's company. Their bodies are releasing endorphins, lowering stress, and supporting their health in ways that pills and prescriptions alone can't replicate. And here's the part that makes this even more exciting. The benefits of intimacy don't fade with age. They may actually become more powerful as we get older because we need them more. Connection becomes fuel for living well. But stay tuned, because the next secret goes even deeper. It's the one that shocks even doctors, and it could change the way you think about intimacy in your 60s, 70s, and beyond. Secret 4. The taboo conversation. The truth is, when it comes to intimacy after 60, there's one conversation that almost nobody wants to have, but everybody needs to. It's the taboo conversation about sexual health challenges. For decades, topics like menopause, erectile dysfunction, or medication side effects have been brushed under the rug, leaving countless seniors to struggle in silence. But silence has a cost. It creates shame, isolation, and even distance in relationships that could otherwise thrive. Take menopause, for example. It's not just about hot flashes or the end of fertility. For many women, it brings changes in desire, comfort, and how the body responds. These shifts can feel overwhelming, especially if no one has ever explained that intimacy doesn't have to stop. It just evolves. Today, senior-friendly clinics and specialists are offering new treatments, from hormone therapy tailored for older women to simple lifestyle adjustments that restore comfort and confidence. For men, erectile dysfunction, or ED, is perhaps the biggest unspoken issue. Ezekiel, our 67-year-old retired jazz musician, knows this story well. After his divorce, when he began dating Marigold, he discovered that ED was more than a physical challenge. It was emotional. It made him question his masculinity, his desirability, and even his right to seek love again. But instead of giving in to shame, Ezekiel did something many seniors hesitate to do. He talked about it. First with Marigold, who reassured him that intimacy wasn't just about performance, and then with his doctor. That conversation changed everything. Here's where fresh hope comes in. In the United States, telehealth platforms are revolutionizing access to senior sexual health care. Services now offer discreet, at-home consultations where seniors can discuss sensitive issues without fear of judgment. Whether it's new ED medications, pelvic therapy, or counseling around intimacy after menopause, these tools are helping older adults take back control. Even senior wellness centers are beginning to host workshops where couples can openly talk about intimacy challenges and solutions. Intimacy challenges are not a dead end. They are simply a doorway to new approaches, fresh solutions, and deeper communication. Ezekiel and Marigold discovered that by facing these challenges together, their bond grew stronger. What once felt like a roadblock turned into an opportunity for trust, vulnerability, and new forms of closeness. So let me ask you, have you ever been too shy to bring this up with your partner? Be honest, because your story could help another senior feel less alone. Drop your answer in the comments below, and let's break this silence together. And stay with me, because the next insight is one of the most powerful reminders that intimacy in your 60s and beyond isn't just surviving, it's thriving. Secret 5. Redefining sex after 60. Let's talk about something that changes everything when it comes to love and intimacy after 60. Redefining what sex actually means. For too long, society has boxed intimacy into one narrow definition: intercourse. But the truth is, after 60, intimacy expands into something richer, deeper, and far more meaningful than just physical performance. It's about presence, about laughter, about touch, and about being truly seen. Think about it. The most powerful connections often don't happen in the bedroom at all. They happen during quiet morning walks when your hands brush together. They happen when you sit across the table and share stories from the past that only the two of you understand. They happen when you're doubled over in laughter at a private joke no one else would get. These moments may not look like sex in the traditional sense, but they are absolutely intimacy in its purest form. Marigold, our 64-year-old former librarian, puts it best. The best intimacy comes when you stop trying to perform and start just being together. For her, intimacy with Ezekiel isn't measured in performance or endurance. It's measured in connection. Their late-night dances, their deep conversations about books and jazz, even their shared silences, those are the sparks that fuel their relationship. And here's what's truly exciting. Seniors across the US in 2025 are rewriting the rules of intimacy. Couples are openly embracing the idea that sex doesn't have to be centered on performance. They're experimenting with touch therapy, mindfulness practices, and even intimacy retreats, designed specifically for people over 60. These retreats focus on communication, trust, and rediscovering pleasure in all its forms, not just the physical. Technology is even joining the conversation. There are now apps designed for seniors that encourage intimacy exercises, like guided meditation for couples, or digital journals where partners can share daily reflections and gratitudes. These tools are breaking the myth that aging means decline. Instead, they show that aging means depth. So let's ask the bigger question. What if intimacy after 60 is less about proving something and more about feeling everything? What if the best intimacy is found in holding each other during a storm, cooking a favorite meal together, or reminiscing over an old love letter? And stay tuned, because we're just scratching the surface. The next part will reveal how seniors are not only rewriting the rules in 2025, but actually leading a movement that younger generations are starting to admire and follow. There's a cultural shift happening in America right now, one that most people under 60 don't even see. For decades, seniors were painted as invisible in conversations about romance, intimacy, and second chances at love. But here in 2025, older adults aren't just quietly participating in relationships. They're leading a revolution in how love and intimacy are understood. Take senior communities, for example. Across the US, retirement villages and 55-plus communities are no longer just about bingo nights or afternoon golf. They're hosting speed dating events, dinner mixers, and even themed dance nights where seniors can meet potential partners in a safe, welcoming environment. What once felt taboo is now celebrated, with event organizers acknowledging that companionship and intimacy are essential parts of healthy aging. Some communities have even reported waiting lists for these events because the demand is so high. Then there's the digital world. Online platforms like Silver Singles and niche Facebook groups are giving seniors a space to openly talk about relationships, sex, and love without judgment. In fact, discussions around intimacy after 60 are becoming some of the most active forums online. Proof that seniors aren't shy anymore. They're sharing advice, swapping stories, and finding encouragement in ways that previous generations never had. The internet has become a lifeline, not just for dating, but for normalizing these conversations. And let's not overlook another growing trend: gray divorce. More couples in their 60s and 70s are choosing to end marriages that no longer serve them, and instead of retreating from love, they're diving back in. For many, this is a second chance at passion, one that's chosen with wisdom, clarity, and self-knowledge. Unlike their younger selves, they're no longer chasing societal approval. They're seeking what feels real and fulfilling. And they're proving that starting over in your 60s or 70s isn't failure. It's freedom. Ezekiel and Marigold's story is part of this shift. Their late-life love isn't an exception. It's a reflection of what's happening nationwide. Seniors are embracing dating apps, showing up at mixers, and boldly redefining what romance looks like after 60. They're proving that intimacy and companionship are not just possible but thriving at this stage of life. So here's the emotional truth. Seniors are not invisible. They are leading a cultural revolution that celebrates love, passion, and connection in its most authentic form. And younger generations are starting to notice. They're realizing that maybe, just maybe, the richest love stories are the ones written later in life. But stay with me, because in the next part we'll uncover how this revolution isn't just reshaping romance. It's reshaping how society values seniors altogether. Let's step back for a moment and look at where this journey has brought us, through the eyes of Ezekiel and Marigold. When we first met Ezekiel, he was a 67-year-old retired jazz musician navigating the quiet loneliness of post-divorce life. His days were filled with music, yes, but the silence in between those notes weighed heavy. He wondered if love was behind him, if passion had somehow been reserved for younger years. Marigold, a 64-year-old former librarian, carried her own quiet ache. After years of routine and responsibilities, she longed for connection but wasn't sure if she could truly embrace intimacy again. Both carried questions that so many seniors in America ask themselves. Is it too late? Has love passed me by? And yet, their story shows us what's possible when you take that first step toward connection. Slowly, they moved from uncertainty to rediscovery. For Ezekiel, intimacy became less about performance and more about presence, sharing laughter over forgotten dance steps, letting himself be vulnerable, admitting his fears. For Marigold, love became less about expectation and more about joy, finding freedom in playful moments, from jazz-filled living room dances to late-night talks that stretched until sunrise. Their transformation wasn't instant. It wasn't about getting back to who they used to be. It was about becoming something new together. Trust replaced doubt. Playfulness replaced silence. And passion, real, authentic passion, returned not in spite of their age but because of it. With decades of wisdom behind them, they learned that intimacy after 60 carries a depth, honesty, and richness that can't be replicated earlier in life. Love and sex after 60 is not the closing chapter. It's one of the most authentic chapters yet. It's where pretenses fall away, where the need to impress fades, and where connection is built on honesty, vulnerability, and genuine care. Seniors like Ezekiel and Marigold aren't just proving that intimacy still exists at this stage of life. They're proving it can thrive in ways more meaningful than ever before. So let me ask you, what if your next great love story is still ahead of you? What if the spark you thought had faded is simply waiting for you to open the door? Remember, intimacy after 60 isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of a new one. One written with courage, laughter, and the kind of passion that only comes when you truly know yourself and what love means. And in just a moment, I'll share one final call to action that can help make this movement bigger than any one couple's story. Let's close with a truth that so many forget but every senior deserves to hear. Intimacy doesn't fade, it evolves. What begins in youth as excitement and discovery transforms with age into something deeper, something steadier, and something far more authentic. And here's the greatest secret of all. At 60 and beyond, love is no longer about proving yourself. It's about the courage to open your heart again. Think about that for a moment. Courage is what brings two people together after loss. Courage is what allows someone to start dating again after decades in a routine. Courage is what makes Ezekiel pick up the phone to ask Marigold out for the first time, even while doubting if romance was still possible. And courage is what helps Marigold say yes, daring to believe that her story wasn't finished, but only beginning. This is your reminder. Love has no expiration date. Passion doesn't come with a deadline. Whether you're 60, 70, or 85, connection remains one of the most powerful forces shaping health, happiness, and meaning. Your laughter, your touch, your companionship, it all matters. And it's never too late to rediscover it. So let me speak directly to you. If you've ever wondered whether intimacy after 60 is still worth pursuing, let Ezekiel and Marigold's story be your answer. Not only is it worth it, it might be the most fulfilling chapter yet. A chapter where expectations fall away, where authenticity takes center stage, and where the joy of simply being together becomes the greatest romance of all. And now, I want to invite you to take action, not just for yourself, but for every senior who has ever felt invisible. If this video spoke to you, don't just watch in silence. Hit that like button, it tells the world this message matters. Subscribe so you don't miss the conversations that could change your life. And most importantly, hit that subscribe button. Remember, and each like lifts senior voices higher, making sure that stories like yours and mine aren't hidden but celebrated. Finally, share this video. Share it with a friend who needs encouragement, with a partner who might have forgotten what's possible, or even with your children and grandchildren to show them that love and passion don't expire. Together, we can rewrite the narrative of aging, not as decline but as discovery. So I'll leave you with this. Intimacy after 60 isn't the end of the story. It's the evolution of it. And the bravest thing you can do right now is believe. Believe that your greatest love story may still be ahead.